So I love the shoe, but I'm not sure if I can recommend it. At least that's what I'm saying in the title. It's kind of weird, right? Because you would think that if I love a shoe, I should be able to recommend it. What's up everyone? Thanks for joining me for another 3 Kicks a Day video. Today we've got a review now that I've had a chance to run 100 Ks in this shoe, and that is the Saucony Endorphin Shift. If you do get anything out of what you see here today, please hit the like button and comment down below if you've got anything to say, even if you don't agree with me. I think it's great that we've all got our own opinions. And if you want to support the channel, smash the subscribe button. Bang! Subscribe. I do have an Instagram page. It's 3 Kicks a Day. Go over there and give me a follow. I'm posting content over there daily. Here's where it's at with me and Saucony. Up until about a year ago, not only had I not purchased a Saucony running shoe, let alone run in one, I was still calling them Saucony. Saucony. Anyway, that first running shoe that I bought was the Kinvara 11, and it was an absolute beauty. It was lightweight, it was comfortable, and it had heaps of personality. It really did well for me. That started an avalanche of running shoes for me with Saucony. I then put over 100 Ks in the Triumph 17, the Hurricane 22, the Freedom 3, and then this one, the Shift. I think there's a couple of reasons why I get along really well with Saucony shoes. Number one would be the fit. There's definitely this great comfort and step-in feel. And the other reason would be the midsole compounds. Power Run and Power Run Plus just work so well. Then early 2020 maybe, I can't remember when it was exactly, there was this whole bunch of marketing material that was released that showed a trio of runners that Saucony was about to release, and they dubbed it the Endorphin line. The 3 models were the Pro, which was like your marathon racer, then you had your Speed, which was the tempo day shoe, and then this guy, the everyday trainer, the Shift. I went on to purchase both the Shift and the Speed. I haven't done enough Ks in the Speed yet to really give a review, and I know that it's a bit of an aging product, but it's still current, so I will come back to it. But the Shift I have taken out for a number of runs and really enjoyed my time in it. There are some things that I find a little bit quirky about the runner, which kind of led me to framing the title of the video the way I did. I really like the runner. The individual components of the runner are fantastic, as we're going to get through as part of this review, but there's just 1 or 2 things that I think are a little bit confused about the runner, and that's what holds me back from saying like it's definitely something that you should have. Let's get into some more of the detail and we'll kick off with some stats. So as I've said, the Shift is a everyday trainer. It is a neutral running shoe, but there is definitely a hint of stability in there. It has a Power Run midsole with, as you can see, a hefty stack, 38mm on the heel and 34mm on the forefoot, giving you a 4mm drop. It has a mesh upper and it fits true to size. From a design perspective, I just love the Endorphin line. The thing that really made this shoe for me was the colorway, this white mutant colorway, which is effectively just white with bright red orange, a jade green and some yellow. And on foot, it looks amazing. There's one thing I would change, and I don't know if this is just me being picky or because I've got a size 13 foot, and that's around the toe box area. I kind of feel it comes a little bit to a point, and because I've got such a long foot, being a 13, it kind of looks like a little gondola. But I can deal with it. I'm happy to rock it. I think it does look great. Now we'll break down the individual components and I can give my thoughts on how I think they've performed over the time I've been running in it. Starting with the outsole. The jade green that you can see on the outsole is actually the exposed foam. The bright red and the yellow are actually the rubber. The placement of the rubber is really clever. There isn't a heap of rubber, but it's clearly got a fair bit of coverage in some high abrasion areas that would really cover a pretty broad range of running styles. So I think regardless of whether you pronate, you heel strike, your forefoot strike, whatever the technical terms are, you're pretty well covered. If I think about how I've done over the 100 Ks, it's showing up remarkably well. There is only the slightest bit of wear through some parts of the forefoot and only in the exposed foam. The rubber itself is all doing really well. The other thing to point out is you've got this diamond pattern at the bottom of the outsole on the medial side of the shoe. The way that the rubber is placed in this part of the shoe and sort of comes up into the midsole a little bit is where the Shift gets its hint of stability from. Now the midsole. The midsole is really interesting. There's actually a fair bit going on here. And this, if I'm honest, is where I think the shoe becomes a little bit confused. This is probably the area where there's the biggest change between the Shift and the Pro and Speed models. The Pro and Speed models both have a Power Run PB based compound, and they both have a plate in it of some description. The Pro having carbon, the Speed having nylon. But coming back to the Shift, what we've got through a bulk of the midsole is Power Run foam. Power Run, not Power Run Plus, like we've seen in Saucony's other high-end runners. I personally prefer Power Run Plus over Power Run, but I can see why Saucony have chosen to put the Power Run in the Shift. Breaking it down in its most simple terms, I find Power Run Plus to be softer than Power Run. It would make sense that as part of a more speedy range, that they would favour a foam that is still cushioned but firmer versus something that is ultra plush. There is also the speed roll technology employed here, which gives a firmer rocker style tip to the midsole. And then on top of the Power Run is actually the Power Run Plus compound. And that's clever because what they're giving you is a really soft foam that makes contact with your foot, but then a bulk of the foam that actually makes ground contact is that firmer Power Run. While I think the individual components that make up the midsole are great, the Power Run midsole, the Power Run Plus topsole, the hefty stack and this speed roll, I found that it only worked really well together for a certain type of run. That's where the Shift excelled for me. Those moderate paces, for me anyway, over those longer type of runs. I'm thinking 10 plus Ks. There is a great amount of cushioning in here to keep you comfortable for the longer distances, but the speed roll and the way that the midsole is just generally designed was really helpful in promoting a decent type of pace. Up top, we've got this really nice white mesh that is ultra comfortable, super breathable, and looks really nice. It's held up really well to dirt. Most of it looks like it was just laundered yesterday, and the tip of the shoe around the toe box has only a really slight amount of discoloration, which I find really impressive considering it's been out a lot in wet or damp conditions. Around the back you've got this TPU heel counter. Underneath the heel counter you've got the Saucony logo that wraps around the lateral side of the shoe. The heel collar is really well padded, and I love me a pull tab. We've actually got two. We've got another one on the tongue. I probably could have done without the tongue, but I think it looks cool anyway. The tongue is big but nice. It's fully gusseted. No issues from me. But the padding itself is only at the top bit of the tongue. The rest of the tongue is actually just the same mesh that you've got for the rest of the upper. Really good lacing system. We don't have the round fluffy laces that you would normally have in Saucony's other high-end Power Run Plus equipped running shoes. They would look a little bit dorky on something as sleek as the Endorphin range, and I get it, but laces, no problem, did a good job of keeping foot secure. There you have it. That is the Shift and how I think each of the components have done over my time with it. As far as recommending this shoe, I loved the shoe. I really enjoyed running with it. I understood the shoe, and so I knew when to take it out for my runs, and I think that's why I really enjoyed it. But the confused midsole is what stops me from giving a wholehearted recommendation to anyone. I feel like my experience with the shoe kind of led me to the conclusion that I need to use it in a specific set of circumstances, and that's at odds with what the shoe is meant to be. It's meant to be a daily trainer, and for me, a daily trainer is almost that do everything shoe. And I don't think this can do everything. At least it couldn't do everything for me. So my recommendation would be based on what you want to get out of a runner. If you are like me and have an insane obsession with buying shoes, then you'll likely have heaps of runners in your rotation, and there is absolutely no issue in adding another daily trainer if you're drawn to the aesthetic or the stack height or the tech that's in something like the Shift. Because while it may not be the best daily trainer, it is a competent runner that you can include as part of your rotation. On the other hand, if you do not have an everyday trainer as part of your rotation and you are looking for one, or you are looking for a single runner to do it all because you have a much more sensible approach to buying shoes and you only want one runner, then I wouldn't necessarily go to this one. I think there are other options that would be better suited that exist in Saucony's own range. I just don't think that any of the Endorphin range or the Shift specifically would be really good if that's what you're trying to get. The single runner, I mean. Or a single daily trainer as part of your rotation. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on the Endorphin Shift. Please comment down below. I'm really interested to hear what you think. And if you have run in the Shift, let me know how you've found it and whether or not what I've said is all in my head or whether or not there's actually any basis for it because you guys are experiencing it. Until the next video, laters.